Hello and welcome along to FM22 Mobile. We're here taking charge of Arbroath, and just like last year, we're going to have a mini series from the new mobile game. Yes, hello and welcome along to episode 1 of Adopting Arbroath from FM22 Mobile with me, Daniel. We are here today to take charge of the Cinch Championship side in Scotland, and for those of you that follow my live streams on Twitch, you'll know exactly why we're doing this. We watched a lot of Scottish Championship football earlier in the season, and we have adopted Arbroath as our favourite side in the league. They've got a legendary manager who we've just put out of work, and of course we did have a brief stint of them in last year's head coach in our main series over on YouTube too. But for now, we're taking charge of Arbroath in FM22 Mobile. We did something very similar with Ballymena last year, and we're just going to do one season managing a club to see if we can meet expectations and really to give the mobile game a run around, because it's something I normally play a little bit in my spare time when on the road, and it's promised big upgrades. It's often had an unrealistic transfer system before. It's had a few little sort of flaws, but we're going to give it a go this year and see if it's the same. So if you're looking forward to finding out how it is, whether we can do well with Arbroath, and to see the season in the Scottish Championship, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. We'll be back as normal at 3:30 today. We've got our transfer special for the start of the season with Hemel Hempstead. We started our long-term stories with the betas release, so there's loads of playlists in the eye above if you want to catch up. There's also a special episode about when to use the data hub, and there's also a link to the Twitch channel too. So thank you again for your incredible support. It is greatly appreciated. But we're in our first day at the job at Arbroath, so we've got to go and meet the players. We've got to go and have a look at what we might need to do in the transfer market, and then we're going to try and play our first game, because with Arbroath and with Scottish football, we've often got the League Cup starting very early. I think this year it's the Premier Sports Cup, isn't it? So we have been given our first break in management. Little is known about us. We chose the unknown reputation. We had the option to choose normal or continental. And it's been met by scepticism by some players, including a key one in O'Brien, who was one of our stars last year in the head coach when we turned up at Arbroath. So I'm presuming he's going to be one of the best players. Let's have a look at the team report then to see what sort of standard we're working with. So it's a highly determined and energetic group of players. They're good at passing the ball, and we're well below our wage budget, which suggests we can get 1 or 2 in. No transfer funds, no pace. One of the older teams in the division and not much depth. No good training facilities, no good youth facilities, and not a good backroom team. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Let's go and have a look at the suggested 11 to see what it's like. They're recommending a 4-4-2. O'Brien, yes, is one of the standout players. And is that Mcleod? Enlow in the middle there. It is, very good footballer. Good on the ball, maybe not the best physically, but left-footed, good balance. Probably decent from set pieces, looking at his technique and his crossing and his passing. But still, not a bad start if we look at Mcleod there. So I'll be honest, I was expecting worse from the team report, because although Arbroath are doing really well in real life, this is a side that is one of the few semi-pro ones in a very strong professional league now. So I thought in FM they'd be completely overpowered, but there's a couple of good players. Whether the depth is there to help us compete, I'm not quite sure. Let's have a look at the expectations. We are supposed to battle bravely against relegation. Transfer budget has been restricted to 0 as a response to weakening revenue last year. I presume that's because of the pandemic in game. However, if you think you can achieve greater things, the board is willing to back you. I don't think we can we? So let's just be honest. We'll respond. We'll battle bravely. It takes the pressure off. Means we haven't got to worry about getting sacked even if we're bottom of the league. As long as we keep people on side and play some good stuff, we should be all right. So I'm happy with that expectation. We're being asked about the captaincy, but Thomas O'Brien was one of the best players, and I don't want to rock the boat. So maybe it'll cheer him up for not being happy at our appointment. He's a good enough player. And there's an upcoming friendly on the 3rd of July, but I think it will then be quickly followed by the League Cup. It is. So look, there's 4 games in 11 days there. I'm not sure we'll need to use 5 friendly once we've played them. I guess the good news is the first 2 are against lower league opposition in Brora and Montrose. Ross County should be the group winners on paper, but we've got them at home, which is nice. And then Stirling Albion away from home. So we're not going to have to wait long for our first game. It's only in 9 days' time. What I want to do is see what squad we've got and whether we need to make some signings before we get to it. Well, it's quite a small squad, which we know it was always going to be for a semi-pro side trying to keep the budget down and work with a tight-knit group of players. The benefit of that is then the coaches don't get overworked because we've only got a few players to train. Now, I recognise a lot of this team from our stint in the head coach last year. So Scott Stewart on the right, Gaston in goal. I recognise O'Brien, obviously we mentioned. Dale Hillson I recognise from other FMs. Cragen's still there in midfield. Hamilton I think was there as well. So there's quite a few that are a little bit familiar. The main man though, and the one I'm most excited to work with, is Nooble up front because he is an absolute superstar in real life for them. He's really good in the air, he's a great target man, he's electric quick, and he's also got ability too. Now he can play naturally off the left here as well, so I'm wondering if we can get in maybe a wide target man, if we want to go to 3 in midfield, just to protect the back 4 a little bit. And he's certainly a man that could do it. Or up front, he's physically imposing, he's good technically. We couldn't ask for much more really, could we? Nooble, 500 quid a week, but looks like money well earned at the moment. And he's rated just a bit worse than Nicky Lowe. So other 3-star players, if they're that good, we're going to be in business. As you of course know, every side is built around a good goalkeeper. And in Derek Gaston, we've got an experienced, albeit, but a very good one still. You can just see behind my head, the reflexes are 16, aerial 12, handling 14. Very solid attributes. Maybe not the best distribution in the world. Okay kicking, not the best throwing. But I think he's a good keeper. I'm really pleased with the level of quality in this side, and obviously we can't compare it to some of the bigger sides in the league just yet, but I think we've got enough to potentially avoid finishing 10th if we can get the right tactic and go on a run. I will introduce you as well to the other 3.5-star player, which is Thomas O'Brien. So interestingly for a centre-half, he's not the best tackler. I remember this, he was like the classic ball-playing defender. If you were playing a back 3 in the full FM, he'd be the perfect wide centre-half. He's good on the ball, he's got a great shot on him, he's good in the air still, which is important, can play off both feet pretty decently, and physically is definitely capable. So I think he's going to be a star player for us, there's no doubt in that. Got one of the biggest values. I'm really interested to see now with this updated transfer market in FM Mobile, are there going to be lots of offers for these players? Are we going to be fending off bids for people? And if we have to sell, are we going to be able to get replacements in? I don't know if that's going to be possible. But there are star players. I'm guessing all of the ones with the exclamation mark are the ones who are wanted. So there's 4 of those at the club at the moment. McKenna's the most attacking one. The rest are all defenders. So I tell you what, let's have a quick look at McKenna as well. He is 3-star ability, natural number 10, which I don't know we're going to have the luxury of playing in this system. Very aggressive at 30. And that's the sort of thing I worry about because I hate red cards. I want players to stay on their feet. We've got good stamina though and decent technically. So he's a player that probably could be available for sale if we get the right offer and if we can get the right players in over the next few weeks. So what we're going to do, now we've looked at our stars, is get through the friendly against Livingston, get in the transfer market, try and sign some players so I can give you a bit of feedback on how that is. And then hopefully in a minute, we'll be back for our first Premier Sports League Cup game in pretty good shape. Well, we are back on the 10th of July, ready for Brora Rangers in the Premier Sports Cup. We have played our friendly against Livingston. It was a 1-0 defeat, but we tried a tactic and I think it's going to be our one moving forward. We've also got some transfer news as well, as you can see, and I really like this home screen this year because it gives you a little overview of all the areas you need to know between matches. Most people that are playing FM Mobile aren't looking for a big in-depth experience. You want casual gameplay and you want to stay up to date with what's going on at the club without having to go and click around on 100 screens, which was one of my little bugbears last year. So we've got the transfer news from the window in the top left, as you can see. It's a pretty smooth skin too, so it looks good. Mcleod is coming on a free, we'll look at him in a minute. And McKenna, the man we just looked at in our squad review, has gone for 50 grand. And he's one of 3 players we've received offers for. We have one of our box-to-box midfielders, Gold, who we tried to work the bid up for and they didn't want to pay our asking price. And then we also had one for O'Brien, who isn't going anywhere because he's a star centre-half. We've got 5 little notes in the medical centre. We've also got a bit of a financial update, bit of transfer budget and wage budget remaining. We've basically taken a defensive change in a transfer window. We've replaced the number 10 Michael McKenna with a holding midfielder in Lewis Mcleod. Let's go and meet him. So I think he's a pretty well-known name. He was last at Plymouth, but he's played for the likes of Wigan, Brentford and plenty of appearances for Rangers early on in his career, certainly when they were coming through the leagues anyway. But he's a good player, he's a good technician, works hard and has got good stamina. So I'm thinking in that deep-lying playmaker role, we might have got ourselves a little gem. He is rated 3.5-star ability, so up there with the superstars at the club, the likes of O'Brien and Lowe. And with Lowe in the middle, I'm hoping we can keep the ball quite well now, because they are good players and we might be able to work through the middle, try and create some good chances. If we can get Noble in as well, get him some goals. We've also got Dale Hillson, who's a decent striker. I think there's some positive signs here. The only problem at the moment is we have no idea how we compare to the rest of our own division. But I guess playing lowly opposition today in Arbroath, we'll probably find out a bit more about that. Now, in addition to a new player coming in, we have managed to wrap up a couple of signings behind the scenes. So we put out adverts for the spare coaching and scouting roles. We got in a new scout in Ian McCormack, who I'll show you here. He is pretty solid. I signed him basically over the others because he had the natural aptitude. He's got the bronze staff badge, which is the lowest of the three. But I think just having one is important. Having someone who we can scout a player if we want to look at them, find out a bit more, rather than just taking gambles on signings, is a real positive. Let's meet the coach as well. Alec Clayland is actually a silver staff badge coach, which I found a bit surprising, to be honest, because I've never really had a coach at the sort of clubs I manage in these saves that's anything above bronze. However, I've said all the right things. I've tried to do all the right things on and off the pitch. Now we've got to prove it on the pitch. So let's go and get into our first competitive game against Brora Rangers in the Premier Sports Cup. And here we go. So the build-up's looking a lot more like regular FM here. I do like the fact that with the new skin in the game, it looks very similar to the full fat FM. A lot of the features are in as well. Dynamics is a bit more prevalent this year. I've got to say, I have found the transfer market a bit more intuitive. Lots more offers coming in, lots more players that we can make bids for. Some players on loan where there's the option to get them for no wage, somewhere they're turned down. There's a lot more room for negotiation this year. There's a lot more that feels realistic. It feels like you're actually working. Whereas previously in FM mobile games, it's just sort of been an arcade transfer market and you can sign who you want as long as you put a bit of money in. But it seems a bit more promising this year. Even the figures are a little bit more realistic. I have put in a loan bid for Kai Fotheringham from Dundee United, who those of you that followed our live stream series on YouTube last year will remember well. He's a good attacking midfielder, can cover centre mid and the two wide positions, and he's okay up front too. So that's the sort of player we're looking to get in for no wage contribution. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with this squad. So let's go and have a look at our lineup and the one we've gone for today. And this is what we've gone for our first game. I've taken the risk of no keeper on the bench. And we have made a few interesting decisions. So I've had to leave Hamilton out. We've got three good centre-halves, and one of them I've just decided to leave out. Henderson at left-back, not quite so good, but a bit more natural and a bit more aggressive going forward. And against a lower league side, we should really be looking to attack. We've got a ball-playing defender in O'Brien, obviously. We've got two solid fullbacks, particularly Thompson on the right. I've bought in Gold as a box-to-box, even though he's not rated that good. We've tried to push Nicky Lowe into a sort of aggressive advanced playmaker role, create a little bit more for us in more advanced positions. Lynn on the right wing, he had to cover off the left in the last game. Noble in, which allows us to go symmetrical and have two attacking wingers. Just a shame there's no wide target forward role in FM Mobile because he would be perfect for it. Hillson is the man up front. I haven't shown you him yet, so let's go and find him quickly. Dale Hillson, a well-known name in the Scottish game when he was younger. Still alright, he's quick and he can shoot. Decent technique, he's okay mentally, his movement perhaps not the best, but I'd be interested to see if he can get in behind and take his chances, because in last year's game, if you remember, the poacher role was significantly overpowered. So there's our team for today in full. It's Gaston between the sticks, Thompson and Henderson the fullbacks, with O'Brien and Little at centre-half, Mcleod, Lowe and Gold the midfield three, with Lynn, Noble and Hillson the front three. Let me very quickly show you the style of tactic we're going for. So in terms of shape, we've tried to keep it narrow. We're trying to control possession. In some of the league games, we might have to drop to balanced on that. I've not really changed too much defensively other than to ease off tackles a bit, but the passing style, I'm trying to play a bit shorter because we've got three good technicians in the middle, we've got good technicians out wide, and we've got a ball-playing centre-half, so we've got to try and make the most of that. I'm not doing short keeper distribution though, because that led to nightmare situations last year. So we might put it on a bit later down the line. But given how much we're going to defend, I don't want to give it away in our final third. We've done the set pieces and captain, so let's go and get in to our first competitive game. We'll get the squad numbers picked, which will just be adding Mcleod one, I guess. And hopefully we'll be able to get a positive result. We're at home to Brora Rangers. It should be a comfortable win. It's classic Scottish conditions, isn't it, from what we saw? Wet, windy, and not that warm for the middle of summer. Any players we recognise in that team? Is that Cole McKinnon in the middle, the Rangers youngster that we've had in before? Aside from that, not too many names I recognise. Let's go and get into the first half and see what sort of result we can get. As it's Brewer with the kick-off, playing down the right-hand side to Gillespie. Henderson closes down, but early signs are pretty worrying. Henderson heads the ball away to Lowe. Is the other thing with the fullbacks, particularly Henderson on the left, much better in the air than we've had before. Now, the match engine is quicker than this normally. I've slowed it down a touch, just because I want to actually see what's happening. But with a few minutes gone, the key highlights on, it looks pretty good at the minute. In terms of these screens in the game, I've had a little scroll through them in the first friendly. They don't seem to have changed that much. You've got the key stats on the first one. You've also got the option to have a timeline if you want along the top. But then there's your lot of player ratings, your table updates, your fixtures, latest scores, etc. So all the same things you would have normally and all the things that would be in the widgets in the full FM. So it's a goal kick for Arbroath. Falls for Noble. Can he create something? It's the first time I'm seeing him because of what happened last time out. Releases gold. He goes for the shot just over the bar. And in fact, I will speed the game up very slightly here because this, just a little bit slower. Wow, this is more like it. Mcleod gets it to Mcleod to Hillson. Scores the first goal of the season. You could argue that going up another one is slightly too quick, but we're ahead, so I do not care. Dale Hillson works out well. Noble doing well on that left-hand side. And it's very positive. And again, I guess with that not even being all the way up on the match engine speed, if you want to rush through and get through a season, you can certainly do so quickly here. As McRae goes back to McKinnon into the box. Ali Sutherland has scored a goal. O'Brien's complaining he thinks it offside, but considering we're playing aside from the lower leagues, that's an alarming display. We've had less possession, which considering we want to play football isn't great. We've not had that many more shots and shots on target, so I'm going to make some tactical tweaks, bear with me. Well, there's no point doing a tactic if you're not going to go all out, is there? So we've gone short passing out from the back. We're trying to keep the ball in our own half. We're trying to keep it moving quickly. And I just hope those changes work because as the hour mark passes, we're still level here. Lowe goes back to Mcleod. He has played quite well in that holding midfield role, but not looked really standout, to be honest. I'm going to think about changes here because there's not too long to go. We'll see if we can get anyone on to change the game. Because up front, Noble and Hillson have played really well as we expect. Lynn on the right, not so much. Henderson at left back's really struggled. I feel like, especially with that being where the goal came from, that Hamilton's going to be our long-term solution. So, excuse my finger, as Hamilton will come on at left back. Who else can we bring on here? I think we're going to go Stewart for Lynn on the right-hand side, although he will have to drop back to the wide of a midfield four there. And then the last one, I don't know really. We don't really have much on the bench that's going to improve the team, and I think that's the biggest issue. So for now, I'm just going to leave it. We'll give it another 15 minutes or so. We'll make the third change a bit later, because we have been on top in this game. We've just not taken our chances, and if we could do that, I think we're in with a shout of winning some more. As we've got a corner kick on the left-hand side. It's going to be delivered into the box, or is it? It is now. In-swinger from Hillson. Straight into the keeper's arms. That's frustrating. Wide to Sutherland on the counter. We can't lose it. Surely not. It peters out, thankfully. It doesn't lead to anything. But with 10 to go, we'll make the last change. And it'll have to be the last throw of the dice. Okay, so Mcleod's made his debut. He's got the worst rating on the pitch. So we're going to swap him with Lowe. And then we'll bring on Cragen, I think, as our centre midfielder. He will come on there. I don't know if he's a playmaker. I don't think he is from what I remember of him. Central midfielder, that'll do. So we'll get that final roll of the dice on. We've gone positive. We're going as advanced as we can. We're trying to create, but I think Brewer are going to hold out here. So a lot of work to be done. What worries me is that playing short out from the back with short distribution, with shorter passing, we have 38% possession against Brewer Rangers, and he's going down as we speak. As Lowe gets the ball at the back to Thompson. Free kick one. And ironically, most of our chances seem to be coming from direct passages of play, despite my intentions to play nice football. With 38% of the ball, we dominated the game, but we didn't make a clear-cut chance. We didn't really take opportunities. There's some alarming signs. There's a lot of work to do, and maybe it's just gelling the squad. We talked about how important momentum was in a full game. Is it going to be the same in FM Mobile? We'll find out as we go along. Oh, in fact, we've got penalties. There's my knowledge of the Premier Sports Cup, probably because it's on Premier Sports and I can't watch it. So first one is in. So let me know the Scots in the comments, because I can't remember from a few years ago. Is this, I think it's like the EFL trophy, isn't it, where you get an extra point if you win on penalties. As Wallace gets the ball right-footed to shoot. It's into the corner. What a penalty shootout's going to be like in FM Mobile. Hopefully not just 20 penalties going in a row. Cragen steps up. Nope, no risk of that. Is this saved? Right on cue. And I think we're going to lose the shootout as well. What a beautiful way to end the first episode this would be. McDonald steps up for Brora. We need them to start missing. That one looked like Gaston possibly should have done better. Lowe steps up, one of our best technicians. What about from the spot? Yes, right in the corner. We need a save though. We need a save or a miss. Are we going to see a missed penalty? The one that misses the target? Doesn't look like it at this rate. Newball has to score to keep us in it. We're 4-2 down. He can't be bared to watch by some of the teammates. But he puts it in with aplomb. Now, it's do or bust. Come on, keeper. Gaston can't get near it. It is 5-3 to Brora on penalties. And Cragen off the bench has cost us the game by missing a crucial spot kick from the penalty spot. So 862 fans that will already be questioning what on earth this unknown manager's doing here. But to be honest, it was a decent performance. We can't really complain. Let's have a look at the schedule for when we're next going to be back. I think it makes sense to get through the 3 other cup games because we're definitely not going to get through the group now. And then maybe come back for the first 2 league games, Inverness and Ayr United. I can't imagine we'll have a huge amount more transfer work. Maybe Fotheringham coming in, and if we get any big bids for players, we might have to try and replace them. But the plan is Inverness at home and Ayr United away. Ayr, one of our relegation rivals this year, that's going to be a big match. If you're looking forward to it, it will be back tomorrow at 11:30 and for the remainder of this week. Please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. We're back with Hemel Hempstead today at 3:30, a transfer special at the start of our 3rd season there. And then tomorrow, we're back with a head coach in a January transfer window. The moment we're over at Kef and Druids. You can catch up with both of those playlists in the eye above if you have missed them. There's also a Data Hub special, our Twitch channel, and a link to the football podcast too. But for the rest of this week, we'll have episodes from Arbroath in FM22 Mobile every day at 11:30 AM. So please do stick along. It has been great fun. And from the early impressions, this game is a big upgrade on FM21 Mobile. Let me know what you think of the game if you've downloaded and played it already. And hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow.